start time from the day you're arrested. I was arrested February 6, 1976. My release date is 2041. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Well, Leonard's case is important to us in Congress because the Constitution is very important too. It's the bulwark of our civilization. And when we see something take place in the third branch, the judicial branch of the United States, that was established by the Constitution, where we think that something should be done over again, like a new trial, then we are very interested. The loss of liberty unnecessarily by one individual American is very important to all of us in Congress.
There's clear evidence that he was innocent. The evidence was fabricated and distorted, and as you know, he was extradited from Canada on the strength of false and fabricated affidavits, which the government was finally admitted to say were false and fabricated. He was denied a fair trial. He had a different judge, different jury. It was back in Indian country, mysterious transfer of the case, and he had a judge who was totally anti-Indian and who made rulings which were totally different than the judge in Cedar Rapids had done. And I think that militated for a conviction. So I think he was somewhat at a disadvantage compared to us in Cedar Rapids.
I mean, we're talking about hundreds of agents working on the case, which is one of the problems. They stumble over themselves. There are too many agents working the case. There's too many agents doing too much stuff. They literally did stumble over each other's feet. They created so much paper that none of us as trial lawyers could keep track of it. That's part of the problem that we wound up in the end. I mean, there was stuff that we didn't even know existed. And that was part of the problem of working it as intensely as they did, is they created so much stuff that nobody could truly master it, and none of us did. Well, the trial was a long, hard trial, about 5 weeks. When we got all through with it, we wound up with no eyewitnesses. There were no direct testimony to I saw Leonard Peltier finish off the agents. We had basically tried it on a kind of a combined hybrid theory. Our main theory, obviously, was that Leonard Peltier had gone down and personally executed both agents. I mean, there's no question that. That was our main theory. But we hadn't proved that, and we knew we hadn't proved it. And so we argued it to the jury quite simply as, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we think he did, but we know we didn't prove that, but, you know, we think we've convinced you that he did.
You told the appeal judges in 1986, we can't prove who shot those agents.
Well, again, you're talking semantics.
No, what I'm talking about is a contradiction between two statements.
If you're talking about, did we have an eyewitness? Did we prove by irrefutable evidence that he was the person that squeezed the trigger? We had never claimed that we had proved it in that sense.
But that's what you told the jury, and if I can quote from your closing argument, we proved that he went down to the bodies and executed these two young men at point-blank range.
Were they allowed to put the FBI on trial as they did in Cedar Rapids? No. But they were not allowed to essentially put the FBI on trial to imply that the FBI had hired Christopher Columbus to come over and harass the Indians.
Well, the prosecution changed and flip-flopped on who was the murderer. In the Fargo trial, it was all Leonard. He did the killing. He was the executioner. He had murdered the agents in cold blood with a high-powered AR-15. When it got to the appellate level, it was all changed because they knew of the significance of that teletype saying it couldn't have been Leonard's gun. And therefore, they changed it to an aiding and abetting theory, which was not the theory that went to the jury. And now they said that they didn't know who shot the agents, who killed the agents, but Leonard was with the group that did, and therefore he was an aider and abetter and just as guilty. A complete change in theory necessitated by the revelation that it really couldn't have been Leonard's gun. The remainder of the prosecution's case against Leonard Peltier, taking away the ballistics, is simply that which was the same as Rubidoux and Butler. There is no difference. They were acquitted. he was convicted because they fabricated that evidence by having an FBI agent, a ballistics expert, a firearms identification person, perjure himself despite his report, and then hide the report so the perjury would not be apparent. Leonard was not granted a new trial despite all these revelations because it was a political and not a legal decision. The FBI pressure has been intense in this case. They indicated that they were even going to drop the prosecution of one of the young men who was indicted but never tried, Jimmy Eagle, because they wanted to, as they put it, drop the full prosecutive weight of the federal government on Leonard Peltier. And they were told in the field, develop evidence that will tie Peltier in with this crime. And so what really happened essentially was that the appellate courts, who know something is terribly wrong, that's why one of them wrote in the opinion, as I've never seen in any other appellate opinion, we are uncomfortable with our decision.
So they had to maintain the argument that he was convicted for aiding and abetting. It was a legal necessity, but you can't have it both ways. And the fact is, they didn't have to tell us they don't know who shot the agents. The whole record shows they don't know who shot the agents. And they don't want anybody else to know, because they want the world to believe that Leonard Peltier is guilty, because they have staked their reputation on it. If we can't rise up and free him, what are we worth, and what's the future of the country? And sadly, I have to comment as his lawyer that his health is not good. He needs surgery and he doesn't want it, because when he first went in for this same surgery, he nearly died. He had to have 6 transfusions, unbelievable. Other problems. He's been in much too long. It's not that he ought to be out now. He should never have been in the first place. Never. And every day is a new crime. Every dawn is a new crime. Every dusk is a new crime against the dignity of the Indian peoples. Because while Leonard Peltier is in prison, we all are. Commutation is a statement from the head of state that this person should be free. It's a political statement from the highest office of our government that this person should be free. And we have to demand that it happens. It has to happen this year. It can happen this year. If we organize and work, it will happen this year. It's imperative that we do it. The President of the United States can commute that sentence in the name of justice any moment he wants to. He has the power, complete and absolute, under the Constitution. It's imperative that we, you and I, secure the freedom of Leonard Peltier.
I wonder what's wrong with what's wrong to be an Indian. I wonder what. If it's so bad, how come God put us on earth to be an Indian?
After 19 years, I'm still not used to prison life. I mean, I still dream and fantasize about being home.